Hey, it's me, Foxy. This video is basically going to just be me reviewing a bunch of albums over the last 3 months. It's going to be something that I want to try and do throughout the year. It's pretty much for everything that I just didn't cover in its own video. So it's going to be here, and that way I'm at least looking into the things that I know a lot of you want me to look at, but yeah. And I'll probably do another video at some point with suggestions or anything that might be an end of year thing about anything I've missed as well. So we'll see how this goes and if you guys like this. Down below in the description there's going to be just a bunch of all the albums, and I'll leave some timestamps there as well. So if there's any reviews you happen to want to see, you can have a look down there. But pretty much it's going to be just short reviews, not too in depth, not anything. It's going to be just quick fire reviews. So if you expect some full-fledged reviews, no, I don't do that. No. Without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Let's go. The first album we're kicking off with is called Imprint for Charity, and this compilation was organised by the people at Imprint, formerly known as Deadlink. It's a label that coined this compilation to raise funds for Mermaid. It's a UK charity and advocacy organisation that supports gender diverse and transgender youth. The album has a lot of like halftime and neuro songs, and while this isn't particularly kind of structure of a song that I really enjoy, the sound design is actually pretty impressive, and there's a lot of names here that you guys will be familiar with, like Mr. Bill, gyrofield, there's Volant on here as well, Result too. But yeah, it's got some really interesting sound design, and honestly it's definitely an album worth checking out if you're into like neuro stuff. My favorites on this were probably Out of Space, that's by Anko and Noctiv. I can never say that name properly. There's also The Tube as well. That song's by gyrofield and Non-You. And there's also Unending Light by Volant and Luna Lenta. So they're definitely the tracks I'd recommend. But either way, I 100% would definitely give this album a listen. The new EP from Blooom that released on Liquidity Records has 3 songs. Well, there's a radio edit as well, but 3 drum and bass songs that actually surprisingly really, like, I really got with these songs. There was like, each song has a heap of energy to it, and there's just so much flavor and life, and it just feels like it's been fully well produced, and there's a ton of effort put into it. It really shocked me. My favorite one was probably Your Love, which is playing now. I just really enjoyed it, just from start to finish, the whole EP. It was a really, really good listen. I 100% think you should go check it out. There was so much time and effort put into this album by Aspect of Viznode. It's a project that I've kind of followed for a while and seen its progression, but now that it's actually out, it's really just amazing to see just how everything has come together and how it really took so much time. There's not really a favorite track, to be honest, because it's kind of hard to pick one, and I wouldn't want to either, but I'd say the entirety of Goddess Moon is definitely one of the highlights of the album. Just from start to finish, it just gives me so much and just breathes so much life, and you can see that's why it's the most popular song on the album. But either way, yeah, for just wow, honestly. Righto, now we're in for some dubstep. This EP by Nextars came out on Roundtable, and the first 3 tracks are definitely the better of the 5. They have some amazing flow, and I really like the sound design in them, and that Boat Noise collab Boat Noise is just so good, and it just made that track so much better. But the last 2 tracks I didn't like the flow in them, and Voodoo, I actually didn't mind the vocals, but it was the flow of that. But yeah, either way, it's a pretty solid 5-track EP, definitely pretty good recently for Roundtable. The new Starseed EP, it's got 3 tracks on it, but arguably I'd say it's even better than their last EP. The vocals from Mega York and Vance are just amazing on their respective tracks, and just they're just so memorable. Every track is so memorable. Production's amazing. The last drop on Don't Forget is just amazing. Honestly, I keep saying amazing, but that's the only word I can think of. But honestly, my favorite was All I'd Ever Need. I think Meggy York, as well as how it's produced and just the variation in the drop. Just yeah. Overall though, it's just great EP. I will say one thing about this EP is that Garofield's sound design and just ability to just make just whatever music that they want to make is just awesome. Like, I don't love it, I'll be honest, it's not my style, but the quality is always something I have to appreciate. I don't really have a favourite song on this one either, because nothing really reached out to me as like, I want to replay that. But I will admit, like the emotional more ending of the EP, like the last track and the last, like how it ends off, is probably my favourite part. But either way, yeah, it's a good little EP, nearly album. Well, it's not even a little EP; it's an album nearly at this point. But yeah, it's good, and you know, if you like Garfield style, you'll love this even more. Nothing really noteworthy on this EP, honestly. Nightmare is just, yeah, I'm not really enjoying his stuff at the minute. I don't hate any songs, but nothing's memorable, and I don't really want to come back to it. Any of the songs, my favourite is probably Sweetest Thing. It's got good vocals, but yeah, production's pretty weak, and I think that's a theme throughout the entire album, honestly. Heading into a pretty good album here. Reviver by Lane 8 is something that definitely appeals to me in terms of like house and whatnot, but it has the strongest start to an album you could possibly get. Survive and Reviver, the title track, are just incredible. I love Survive's vocals, but the whole entire atmosphere they both go for is just it's phenomenal, honestly. I do like the rest of the album, don't get me wrong, but those two tracks just are cut above the rest. It probably, yeah, my enjoyment probably dropped a bit as the album went on, but there's nothing bad at all. It never got as high as Survive and Reviver. It probably didn't help that I got a bit sick midway through too, but yeah, oh well, yeah, great album. Never really been a Q97 listener, but I thought I'd give this EP a crack since I know there's a lot of fans of them, and yeah, I didn't really enjoy this too much. I think it's produced pretty well. I can't really tell because there's a lot of ideas going on, and it feels kind of like I don't really like the direction of it, and it doesn't really reach out to me, and I don't really feel like replaying it. But I'm sure that a lot of you really like it, but yeah, just not for me. My favourite's Do You. That's my favourite track, but yeah, it can still feel messy. But I imagine that like I'm not entirely like massive on knowing how production is messy or whatnot. So yeah, this is just going off a casual listener. Just remember that. I haven't listened to Away for probably a couple of years now, but I've come back to this EP and thought I'd check it out, and I was missing out. This EP is awesome. Even just looking at the names on this EP, you've got Echoes, Coda, there's Crywolf, and Charity Vance is also doing really well at the minute. I could just tell that this EP was going to hit really well, and if Away style was anything that I'd heard in the past, I knew this was going to just be an awesome EP. There's some dark and deep atmospheres in each track, and everything just has some really quality production. There's even some different types of tracks. Like I thought Blue 22 being more like a future garage kind of song was actually a really good touch. My favourite on this one is Ritual. Lex from Echoes is just phenomenal. Just the combination of sounds and the whole atmosphere of the song from beginning to end. It's really just chilling, but I just want to keep coming back to this song. And yeah, but the whole EP in general is just great. Another album from BTSM, and honestly, not the most fun of this one either. There's a lot of ideas on this one, but they just weren't strong, or they weren't really executed well. And there's a lot of tracks that it feels like the drops and the actual climax of the songs just wasn't the enjoyable part. Like, I didn't like Leaders and Can't Stop Me because the drops really just ruined everything they had going for it. There's a lot of names on this one though. There's a lot of names on this. You've got Ymir, you've got people like Atlians and Kaiwachi and Yuki. Says it all really, doesn't it? Yeah, this album was not really that, I wasn't really excited to listen to it, and yeah, I didn't really get a ton out of it. There was a couple good tracks though. Utopia with Ymir, for example, is a really good song that's playing now, and I actually liked the outro, The Devil's Instrument. It was very different and actually quite a good listen, so yeah, not something I'm going to come back to anytime soon. INFEKT released a new EP called Breakout, and I like half of it, and the other half I'm not the biggest fan of. Trigger, Accelerator, and Split, were really good. Really liked Split changing up with a bit of drum and bass, and Trigger and Accelerator, they changed up the flow from what the other 3 tracks had to offer. It just made it for a much better experience as an entire EP. But yeah, it was really just half and half EP. Orm is the only one where I'm kind of undecided whether I like it on it. Like, it's not a whole heap different, but in saying that, it changes up slightly, but I don't know, I'm just not sold on it. But yeah, also I updated the microphone, so this might sound better. I'll see when I'm editing it, because I can't bother doing all the recordings again. Love Chaos by Adventure Club is an album that is just way too long. It really doesn't need like a whole 24, 25, whatever it was, tracks. It doesn't have any story or anything. It's just a compilation. I'm pretty sure it spanned from like 2019 releases, so it's just ridiculous and doesn't need to happen. Every song seems to have some pretty standout major issue with it. It's either got a good idea with poor execution or vice versa. Every track seems to either be one of the two. Like, I can't find, there's not many tracks that feel like they don't have an issue. There's all the vocal chops in the album are just, I didn't like any of them. I don't think there was any good vocal chops at all. That's what probably made the ideas pretty bad. They were either too high-pitched or really just didn't fit the song. My favourite songs were Never Enough, that's with Modern Machines, Next Life as well, that's with Crankdat and Cruella, and I also liked Move It as well. That was the house one, that was with Birthday Party. That one was different, which is probably why I enjoyed it. But yeah, not really a whole heap going for this album, and I'm not coming back to it. I contemplated making a ranking of the new FiXT album, but I decided not to in the end, just because it was really long and I didn't know if there was enough interest in it, but we'll see. But honestly, it's a pretty good alternative considering that Monstercat and like NCS and stuff haven't been releasing like consistent compilations and whatnot. So a bit of a multi-genre kind of compilation is always good to see. There's a lot more mid-tempo and still that cyberpunk kind of atmosphere, which a lot of FiXT sub-labels and their whole brand kind of is focused on. Yeah, so they love their retro-inspired tunes. So yeah, there's a lot of different styles though. There is color bass, there is drum and bass. So fans of that, you won't be missing out at all. You've got like Kaixo tracks. There's Kill and Void and Asteroid After Party in here too. So yeah, you're not missing out at all. So I've kind of got like a top 5. So Noctua by Glacier was one of my favorites. So was Mastermind by Similar Outskirts. I like Divine Virus by Essenger. Plan B by Tenebrax, which I have actually featured on the channel before, and also Not On My Own by Elliot Berger, Tattoos, and Nufnul. I don't even know. But yeah, there's a lot of pretty cool tracks, and if you want to see me do a ranking of this, just ask me, and I'll honestly probably get to it, because I do like the FiXT label. New Set the Sky album came out, and this I was kind of a bit skeptical first listening to it. Like the first Set the Sky album, it was alright, but just this one, I kind of felt like I hadn't enjoyed a whole heap from Set the Sky, and felt like that they were just falling to the crowd of like Illenium style, which I know is a bit of a cop out saying that, but that's just the main producer of that style. But yeah, the start of the album, my theory basically was kind of confirmed. Like I was just not, it felt like the same kind of tracks were coming out, and yeah, Go On Then Love was a pretty good song in Set the Sky's typical style. But yeah, now the emotion, well, most songs just it felt a bit same, and then literally as I thought that, all of a sudden Emotion Sickness and Bittersweet Melody played in a row, and from there it was just like, wow, those two songs would just carry this album so much. Emotion Sickness with the vocals and the rock influence, it was amazing. But Bittersweet Melody, of course, it had to be my favorite. The house track, collab with Friend, like Friend is a good vocalist and just helped this song so much. But yeah, like, oh wow, all of a sudden I just really enjoyed the last few tracks. But yeah, those two just lifted this entire album up, honestly. I've never been a Tennyson fan. I've just never checked out his music, so I heard this album was pretty good, so checked it out, and I really should have listened to more Tennyson, honestly, because this was just great. There's just so many little details and so many little intricacies on this album that just make it sound so fantastically crafted, really. The vocals on every song just sound great. It just his style of production just works really perfectly with like his whole entire vocal range and whatnot, and the whole album is pretty addictive, honestly, too. My favourite song was Irons. Irons is just so fun and just flowed so well, and the vocals, of course. And followed that up with Get Gone, which is playing now. That was a pretty catchy one, a little bit more down-tempo than Iron, but yeah, I Really Wanna was another catchy one too. All three of those songs were quite different, so I'm glad that my favourites were different tracks, but in the end, this is a really good album. Please check it out. I wanted to cover the Error 808 EP just because I thought that not many people would have heard it, and if they've been on Monstercat before, so most of my audience would have heard Sacrifice and just not checked out any of their tunes, so I thought I'd cover this one. Yeah, it's a pretty solid album, a lot more like hip-hop and more that modern kind of sound, but there's some really impactful production. Every song seemed to hit pretty hard, and the production just boosts that so much. Replacement's the only one that has a lot more production elements as well as vocals. Like the others kind of have vocals backed by an instrumental. Replacement's the one that really has that instrumental just fully take hold, and it's a really, really good song. Yeah, just check this EP out. I think you'll like it. DROELOE's new EP came out, and it's the start of the project being just a solo project, and I liked it. It was only 3 tracks, shorter than anything else that he's really put out, but it left its mark. There's 3 different tracks. They all have different kinds of the same style, but just in different ways and genres, and it's a really good way to start off with DROELOE as a solo project. Yes, it's DROELOE, everyone. Hello. My favourite one on this was probably Demons. It messes with time signatures, and there's house, and it's hard to get my head around. Like, there's so much different stuff about this song. It takes so many different twists and turns, and then the part that really got me was the end, like when it just all come together. That song was a real experience, and it made this whole project just feel so much better. Hopefully there's more from solo DROELOE in the future, I suppose. Yeah, well, there better be, because DROELOE, awesome. Alright, Chibs EP. I know a lot of people think that I just dislike Chibs completely, and that's far from the truth. I don't enjoy the style, but to think I hate Chibs' music is just ridiculous. It's unique, and that can be taken two ways for anything. It can be either I love this unique style, or this unique style doesn't hit with me. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate Chibs music, but I just don't usually enjoy it. But this EP was my favourite yet. Yeah, Pentagon was a really good EP. It's probably not something I'll come back to a heap again, because Chibs' unique style I just can't get with and find it replayable. But it's growing on me. It's probably because I've listened to it a heap now. It's come up a heap of times in my videos. I've listened to it a lot. But yeah, I didn't really dislike any of the tunes. Like, I didn't love any of the tunes. Like, didn't really find anything heaps replayable like so much. But it's really a step forward for me, and I think sooner or later there's going to be a Chibs song that I start to really enjoy. There was a few. Yeah, it was just interesting. But Throwy was my favorite, I think, just because it wasn't a dubstep song. It was different. It plays with like that half full time. It's just dirty, that song, really. But yeah, anyways, Chibs EP. I actually did not hate it. Okay, I can see you all in the comments being like, "Oh, you hate Chibs." Well, no, I do not. I think my main gripe with an album that's just this long is that it's exactly that. It's this long. Like, I don't think the album was too long. I think it did what it wanted to do, and I think the time it took to make this album was absolutely worth it. But it just makes it too hard to listen to it in just one sitting, and that's what I found with this album. It took me about 3 or 4 goes to get through the whole thing, just because I get pretty busy now. But I didn't really love the album either. Like, there was absolutely great compositions and combinations of sounds and whatnot. It's in a pretty familiar style, I think, but I just couldn't listen to it in one sitting, and I think that really sucks, and I really wanted to, because there's so much good quality production, and it's just really, it's a great album, but unfortunately I just couldn't listen to it in one sitting. I'd love to be able to do that. In saying that, there's some great songs on here. My favourite is probably Windmaker, honestly. It's one of the few drum and bass tracks on the album, and it just does so much for me. And Sunflower was another really memorable one too, so they're probably my top 2. But there's no bad song on this at all. It's just, I didn't really get through the whole thing in one go, and I'd love to be able to do that. But yeah, no, it's a great album, and I imagine that there's a lot of people that this album resonates with. I was pretty skeptical about this album release, because I've never really been a massive Crystal Skies fan, but I checked the album out and it was solid, but just it didn't really have a moment that really stands out to me. There was no track that really pushed any boundaries or really just shone above the rest. It just didn't really work out. It just felt more like a compilation of singles again, which I find is a problem with a lot of albums like this, that doesn't really give me anything. There's a lot of rock kind of influence in this one, which I think is becoming pretty common in EDM. This album kind of made them fall flat though. I didn't really enjoy them, and they didn't really work well, fuse well together in the music, I suppose. Nothing Ever Happens vocals is exactly where I feel like that was let down a lot. The vocals are not great. My favourite tracks are probably Moonlight with Ashley Apollodore. What else we got? Crazy While We're Young was also a good one. JT Roach collab, and also Right Before We Fall. I actually really like that one too. Well, not really like, because I didn't really like any heaps of the tracks here, but nothing horrible, but there was some, not the greatest stuff. I really like the concept of collab albums, especially on smaller labels at the minute, like SILKENWOOD, who are just getting their name. This album had mostly unknown names, which is honestly really good, because you can find some really great talent. But yeah, it's kind of telling me that other labels need to look into this kind of stuff. The styles in this album, don't really love them. That's purely just because I've listened to a heap of it. It's kind of getting a bit overdone in this that part of the EDM scene. But this underground stuff, but there's good production. I just don't love the ideas, and they kind of just all blend in together, I suppose. and that's purely just because of my tastes. Mirror Temple by Asus and Voca was my favourite. They're two artists I knew before this album released, and it's just, yeah, it's the most appealing song, but overall, pretty solid. Goodnight Lavender has released the first EP to the Star Festival series, and I don't know what to expect really from the rest of the series, but it's a good first EP, first chapter, I suppose you could say. I'll probably cover more of it. I wanted to just talk about it here, just to say that I know it exists. I've listened to it, and it is good. But yeah, I wanna look at the whole Star Festival project in a whole later when it comes out. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't loved Blanke's music as much over the years, especially after he stopped doing the mid-tempo kind of stuff. As much as mid-tempo is getting a bit overdone, Blanke is one of the leaders in that scene, and since coming onto Ophelia and whatnot, it's just, yeah, just really, he's really liking that melodic stuff, and I don't love it, but it's nothing to hate on, honestly, at all. In saying that, there's a fair few heavy tracks on this EP. It blends in pretty well with the Ophelia label, especially signing a Kill the Noise album and all the other heavy music that they do, like Caster and whatnot. So it blends in well, but yeah, so pretty solid production overall. My favourite was probably Think of Me. I really like Sounder's vocals. I liked the more poppy, upbeat, happier feeling that the whole EP gave. It just felt so much better than the rest of the tracks, I could say. And Arc was my favourite of the couple heavy tunes on there. It's one of those dubstep and psytrance kind of infusions, but I like when songs do that, to be honest, and this one does it well, so it can get overdone, but Blanke did well this time, so good EP. Yeah, check it out if you haven't already. You'll probably like it. Another Cruella album. This one's called The Body Never Lies, and they'll never reach the highs, I think, of their album Get Wet. That's just got some memorable tracks like Live for the Night and Alive. You can never beat that. They're not going to drop off the earth though, and they still release some pretty quality tunes. Yeah, it's not too bad of an album, honestly. Another one I didn't love, but this one does have standout and some good moments. Yeah, production and vocals early on, wasn't really feeling it, but eventually I got to the lower half of the album. I think it got better. My favourites are the Bose collab, Never Been Hurt, and that is purely because I like Bose's music. Even their Slap House, I actually think that they're one of the better Slap House artists out there. It's just catchy, honestly. Along with 6 Feet, it's got some really interesting vocals, but also it's impactful, and the whole song it sticks with me from start to end, honestly. And it's one of the Cruella's better songs as of late. So yeah, look, I'm not sure if you really, yeah, it's kind of a funny album to recommend or not, because yeah, it's kind of not different to what Cruella's been doing, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, might as well just listen to it. Honestly, I wouldn't not recommend it for sure. That's the thing. Another Ophelia EP, and this one's by Kepik. I've never heard of Kepik, but this is an introduction. But I was kind of worried that this is going to be another artist that just falls into like the Ophelia crowd of music and just releases similar styles. And then, of course, Judgment, the first cyberpunk mid-tempo track on this EP, was just like, whoa, okay, it's not going to be the same at all. Three of these tracks were really, really good. I didn't like Worth My Time. That was kind of a bit bland to me, but the other 3 all have something to offer. You've obviously got Judgment, which I talked about with the cyberpunk influence. That was really good. But Let You Go has this like kind of cinematic feeling. The vocals are pretty good on that song, but it's really how it's produced and how it sounds. It's just, yeah, really good. And Clearer Now, the title track, it just sounds really happy and vibrant, and I really like it for that. All the tracks are very different in this EP though. And I don't really know what to pick as my favourite, but I'd probably have to go Judgment, and then followed by let you go, just simply because of that hard-hitting intro. It just kind of set the tone for me, and I think that's the one that stands out. Bass House, Barong Family, Moxie album. I don't know. Yeah. I knew I'd like it. I knew I'd like the songs on there, but I was a bit skeptical, honestly. Never really been a Moxie listener. Never been a Barong Family follower. Knew it was Bass House, so I knew I'd probably like most of the songs, and I probably do. But as an album, not coming back. It's more of just a collection of singles. To be honest, that's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, yeah, but everything sounds pretty good, honestly, for Bass House. And that's purely just because of what I like, I suppose. It's not really much else to say, really. It sounds produced well, but yeah, not amazing ideas, but it's Bass House. I like Bass House. My favourites are probably After the After. That's a pretty good intro. Dread MC helps that one well, but What Can I Do was like the only one that wasn't Bass House. It was house, but it wasn't Bass House, and that's probably the one that's going to be the standout for a lot of people, I think, on a interesting album, to say the least. Short 3-track compilation from Full Flex Audio, which features 3 songs in a pretty similar kind of dubstep style that is becoming pretty common nowadays. So I think Full Flex wanted to give a little bit of a showcase of that sort of stuff, so that's pretty good. You've got 3 songs from Noir, Kanoto, and Chronomichael. I don't think I said that right, but who cares? Yeah, they got that kind of stop-start dubstep. And yeah, it's pretty good production. I liked 2 of the tracks were kind of weaker, and I definitely liked Dead Circuit by Noir. Been waiting for it to fully come out. Everyone has heard that song, I'm pretty sure. Most people that follow me have probably heard that song. It's glad it's finally come out, and yeah, solid little release. And yeah, I probably will cover more of the Trinity series as a whole, maybe at some point, if you like. Here's an interesting one that I actually missed when it came out, but Atlas, new album, Carry It With You. Never really been an Atlas listener, didn't really know what to expect. I kind of knew I'd expect like some kind of house kind of thing, but I didn't really know if it'd be how progressive it would be. But it's very, like, it reminds me of old Silk Music albums, which I've been listening to a lot, I think you would see. I'll admit, didn't love it. It kind of felt repetitive sometimes. Like, I felt like there was some good minutes that felt like I was listening to the same thing on loop. Didn't get heaps from the album, but there is some pretty long emotional tunes here for those who like progressive music, which I know there's a few of you who like progressive music, and yeah, so this is probably a good one for you. My favourite was probably Rail Yard. That's more of a progressive break song, so yeah, progressive fans, this one's for you. Hyper Potion's album released, and it's just a compilation of all their singles that are released. They made a couple extra VIP tracks, which is pop punk kind of tracks. It's just Hyper Potions. If you've heard Hyper Potions, you've heard this album. I like Hyper Potions, so good album. But yeah, I would rather listen to the singles. Honestly, it's basically just an album of singles. If I had to pick a favorite, Where We Want to Be is still just a classic on their discography. Obviously, it's easily one of my favorites. The new Robo album came out on Circus Records, and I didn't love it. Like, I enjoyed some songs, but didn't love it. I didn't have any expectations, honestly, and expectations, they were not met nor like failed or anything. It was just I came out of it pretty much neutral. I didn't feel like there were a heap of unique ideas, but it sounds pretty well made, but not blowing me away. It's certainly not uninspired at all. My favourite track was probably Shell. It's probably the only one I felt was impactful and actually satisfied me, I suppose you could say. It was the only song I really came out of that I wanted to listen more to, so yeah. Another Halcyon EP drop, and this time it's Sora, and this is just a really, really good EP. It's just another Halcyon release, just nailed it. Production, nailed it. The style, amazing. It just, yeah, every song here just feels like it hits. Like, this whole EP is just an experience and a half, dude. Top tracks, Miss You, love the switch up the house, duh, gonna love it. I really like Pressure too. Pressure just, it hit me, it got me, dude, it got me. But honestly, every song's worth replaying. I'd probably add every single song to my playlists, really. Listen to this. I had not listened to Sublab ever, and then one of my Discord friends posted the EP in the server, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. That was the best idea I've come up with recently in like any time ever. It just save yourself 15 minutes to hear this, because it's an absolute masterclass of producing. Every composition's just amazing. Different genres. There's like trance kind of, like trap. It's all glitchy. Like it's you're gonna love it. It's just amazing. It blew my mind. I'm gonna definitely listen to like every Sublime song now, honestly. Yeah, my favorite was the kind of trance song. It's the title track, Chrome Castle. But yeah, honestly, listen to the whole thing. You're doing yourself a huge favor by doing that. And thanks as well to the people who wanted me to listen to this. My good old friend Ben Lepper. Yeah, so he's moved on to Cloud Cage now, but there's a few unfinished tracks from like 4 or 5 years ago at this point now. Look, I can tell the tracks aren't fully finished, but in saying that, I think they're good. I'd love to hear them more updated and more into what Cloud Cage is doing now, but in a sense, perfectly understand why then these songs are never getting finished, like fully finished. And yeah, like they could be turned into something else. Could be worth even like passing stems on to someone who wants to fully put it into some time, but whatnot. I think yeah, the Cloud Cage alias is definitely where Ben's gonna shine. My favorite track, Peace of Mind, on this one. Probably closest to what Ben's doing now with Cloud Cage. Yeah. Please check out Cloud Cage's music, because Ben is going to be just a crazy talent in the progressive scene. Just do it. Do it. Could see this coming, but Astral's new album in his new style is finally here. Didn't love it. It was good, but I struggled to find a standout kind of moment. Like, yeah, I feel bad for not loving anything, because like I really like Astral and there's so much talent there, but I couldn't find that moment that just gripped me. I'll say the most memorable tune was probably Eyes. That's pretty catchy. But yeah, I think it's just because Astral, like I love Astral's more EDM style. It was kind of like, it was similar to Puppet but more poppy, and yeah, like I'm gonna miss his old style for sure, but I'll absolutely still listen to his music, and yeah, I think there's a bright future ahead. I had no expectations for a Nurko EP. Don't really love Nurko. I feel like I have a lot of issues with Nurko's music. I'm not sure if it's like the mastering or something, but everything just sounds so compressed sometimes. I think it's probably just that style. It could just be, yeah, that technique, I suppose. But yeah, as just like Oral did, I didn't really feel like a standout kind of moment in the album. This has pretty grand moments. Like there's some build-ups that are nice. I just don't think the drops have too much going on. I think that's the problem, and that's why I have a problem with how it's mastered. There's a lot of noise, and that is where I think the issues come from, especially in like most of it's melodic dubstep at this point. That's where my issues stem from, I think, the most. I think the obvious standout for me is going to be Breathing Again. Yes, it's the house song, but I think the drop was still a letdown. I think the build-up hyped me up to be something really great, and the drop was kind of like, didn't really Like, I thought that the melody sounded pretty nice, and then the drop was kind of like, not really a fan, but oh well. Yeah, Nurko EP, if you heard Nurko before, you've probably heard this EP before. That's how I'd sum it up. Didn't cover this one earlier. There's another one I didn't cover that I thought I'd cover, but Ethereal by Tsu Nami. Bitbird album, EP, sorry. I didn't really know what to expect. I've never heard Tsu Nami, but this is honestly not what I thought I'd hear on Bitbird either. Quite fun, like future-based kind of stuff. Yeah, the production's great. Love the aesthetic that's going on and theming around the whole thing. Yeah, it's really clean. I think my favorite, like, there's good vocals on this album. Like, there's some solid tracks on here, but I think the one that stood out to me the most was the one that didn't have the vocals. It was the title track. I'm not sure what really, it was the whole atmosphere, I think. Just, yeah, it just sounds really smooth, and I think that was, yeah, it was a really good way to end off the EP, and it ultimately ended up being my favorite. This Never Happened by Embers is a progressive EP that it really, really got to me. Not an Embers listener, didn't know what to expect, as probably I probably have done that with a lot of these EPs, but really didn't know what to expect. And the vocal additions are probably one thing to note. They just tell that story that little bit more. Every song just feels so calm, and everything belongs in this. Like, it's a project where everything belongs and makes sense. A lot of emotion in every tune. It just, yeah, but it just feels like it's so alive. Like, I really like it for that. Yeah, Don't Look Back was the one that I liked the most, but in saying that, I reckon you should definitely listen to this EP. If you like Silk, you'll probably like this even more, honestly. This is really good. Rounding out this video, I'll cover Odd Kid Out's EP released in February. This one's called Hidden Tape, and I like the Monstercat singles more, but in saying that, I still don't love an Odd Kid Out song. Other than maybe the Tony Mirror collab, I didn't in Tony's album. Yeah, I don't like really what Odd Kid Out does a whole heap. It's just this just felt dead, this EP. It just sounds really weak, and I got nothing from it. It's just so unimpactful, and like there's nothing memorable or anything at any point, and like I didn't like any stage of the EP at all. I guess the one song that was okay was Heaven Sent, but like wasn't amazed by it, and it sucks to end this video off on an EP I didn't like, but there you go. Oh well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a very different video, and I know it was very long, but hopefully you skipped around to the parts that you wanted to check out. I really want to do more of these like longer type of videos in the future and make this a common thing on my channel. I'm not sure how I'll do it, but I'll figure it out. And I definitely want to get a heap more community involvement as well. Make a few more videos, you know, submissions. Who knows? I'll figure it out. But anyways, yeah, this has been the January to March reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys like listening to this voice a lot.